Before you reach for another bottle of magnesium glycinate, just pause for a second and try something with me. Look around where you are and pick three objects you can see right now. Take a moment, then close your eyes and try to recall them in the exact order. Did the names come back immediately, or did your mind hesitate just a bit? Now do one more thing. Tap your fingers on the table 10 times, quickly, then stop. Pay attention to how that felt. Were your movements smooth and controlled, or slightly stiff, maybe a little delayed? There's something most people never get told. Magnesium isn't just about sleep or muscle cramps. It's tied directly to how your nerves fire, how your muscles respond, and how your brain handles signals in real time. This is one of the reasons so many people end up taking magnesium glycinate every day. The market around it is worth tens of billions of dollars, and yet, even with all of that, people still deal with poor sleep, tight muscles, brain fog, low energy. So it raises a real question. If this form of magnesium is supposed to work so well, why are so many people still not seeing the results they expect? Here's where the disconnect shows up. The human body wasn't built to absorb magnesium as a single, isolated compound. In nature, magnesium always comes with other elements around it. Plant compounds, fibers, additional minerals that help move it, carry it, and actually let your cells use it. And this is where things start to shift. There are certain fruits that naturally contain magnesium along with those supporting compounds, and that combination changes how efficiently your body can actually use it. In this video, you're going to see 5 specific fruits that may help your body use magnesium more effectively, starting from the lowest and moving to the most powerful. And number 2 on this list surprised researchers because of the way its compounds work together. Before we get into that, let me know in the comments how old you are and whether you're currently taking any magnesium supplements. I read those and I do my best to respond. And if you want more breakdowns like this, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. One of the first fruits most people walk past without thinking twice is figs, even though they're one of the more concentrated natural sources of magnesium you'll find. 2 medium fresh figs give you right around 50 milligrams of magnesium. When you switch to dried figs, the density goes up. A half cup comes in at about 68 milligrams, which is roughly 16% of what you'd need in a day from something as simple as a snack. And when you line that up against a typical magnesium glycinate capsule, which usually sits around 100 milligrams, there's a difference in how your body has to deal with it. The supplemental form is isolated, so your system has to break it down and move it on its own. With figs, that magnesium comes packaged differently. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition in 2019 showed that when magnesium comes from whole fruit sources like this, it's paired with fiber and natural sugars that slow digestion just enough to allow a steadier uptake along the intestinal wall. That fiber essentially carries the mineral through your digestive tract at a pace your body can work with, so more of it actually gets absorbed instead of passing through. In that same line of research, participants over the age of 50 showed absorption rates that were about 25 to 30% higher from whole food sources compared to supplemental forms. Figs also bring in other minerals alongside that magnesium, including potassium, calcium, and vitamin K, all working together in the same environment. In a 2021 study published in the Journal of Bone and Mineral Research, people who included figs regularly over a 12-week period showed about a 9% improvement in markers related to bone mineral density compared to a control group. If you're choosing fresh figs, look for ones that feel slightly soft and have a deeper color, and eat them whole, including the skin. That outer layer holds a higher concentration of both fiber and minerals. If you're using dried figs, go for versions without added sugar and let them sit in water for around 20 minutes before eating. That step helps rehydrate the structure and makes the minerals more accessible. They fit easily into what you're already doing. You can chop them into oatmeal, blend them into a smoothie, or just have 3 or 4 as a snack during the day. Pairing them with a small amount of fat, something like almonds or a bit of olive oil, helps activate the fat-related components that support absorption. What matters more here is keeping that intake consistent over time. Having a serving 4 to 5 times per week keeps that intake steady enough for your body to actually use. And when you look beyond figs, another fruit that doesn't get much attention, even though the numbers are just as strong, is passion fruit. About a cup of the pulp gives you roughly 68 milligrams of magnesium. But what really changes things is how it's structured. This fruit is packed with a type of soluble fiber called pectin. That fiber forms a gel-like texture in your gut, and that slows things down just enough so the magnesium stays in contact with your intestinal lining longer. This was tracked directly in a 2020 study published in the European Journal of Nutrition. Participants who regularly ate pectin-rich fruits showed about a 22% increase in serum magnesium levels after 6 weeks compared to those using standard supplements. There's another layer built into this. Passion fruit also delivers a strong dose of vitamin C, roughly 70% of what you'd need in a day from 1 cup. That shifts the environment inside your gut, keeping magnesium in a form that's easier for your body to take in. In controlled lab conditions, vitamin C intake alongside magnesium was linked to about a 15% increase in absorption. It also contains flavonoids, including compounds like pycnogenol. In a 2022 study published in Antioxidants, those compounds were associated with about an 18% reduction in markers tied to systemic inflammation. And when inflammation is lower, one of the barriers to magnesium uptake starts to ease. The way you eat it matters here as well. Cutting the fruit open and scooping out everything inside, including the seeds, keeps all of those elements intact. The seeds themselves add extra fiber and a bit of healthy fat, which supports the same absorption process. It works on its own, but it also blends easily into something like a smoothie with banana and a tablespoon of flaxseed, which keeps that same structure working together. If fresh fruit isn't easy to find, frozen pulp holds up surprisingly well. Research in food chemistry showed that even after 3 months, it retained about 94% of its original magnesium content. Timing plays a role too. Having it earlier in the day, when digestive activity is naturally higher, tends to line up better with how your body processes it. If this kind of breakdown helps you connect what you're eating to how your body's actually using it, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss the rest of this. Guava sits in a different category because it doesn't just bring magnesium in, it changes how that magnesium behaves once it's inside your digestive system. A single guava comes in at about 36 milligrams, and most people don't stop at 1. 2 to 3 fruits in a typical serving puts you somewhere between 72 and 108 milligrams, which starts to match or even exceed what you'd get from a standard supplement. What stands out here isn't just the amount, it's how usable that magnesium becomes. In a 2021 analysis published in Food Science and Human Wellness, guava ranked among the top 3 fruits for overall mineral bioavailability. That includes not just how much is present, but how much your body can actually absorb and use. Part of that comes from its composition. Guava contains organic acids, mainly citric and malic acid, and those shift the pH inside the digestive tract in a way that improves how well magnesium dissolves. That solubility increased by about 28% compared to fruits that don't carry those acids. And that detail matters more than it sounds because one of the main reasons magnesium doesn't get used efficiently, whether it comes from food or supplements, is that it doesn't fully dissolve before it moves through the system. Guava helps correct that step. There's also clinical data behind it. In a 2020 study from the Asia Pacific Journal of Clinical Nutrition, participants who ate guava daily for 12 weeks showed a 14% increase in red blood cell magnesium levels. That intracellular measure is considered a more accurate reflection of magnesium status than standard blood tests, since serum levels can stay stable even when the body is pulling from tissues to compensate. Alongside that, guava brings in a very high amount of vitamin C, more than 200% of daily needs in a single fruit, and that keeps magnesium in a form your body can continue to use as it moves through the digestive process. How you handle it affects what you get out of it. Eating the fruit whole, including the skin and seeds, keeps the full mineral content intact. The skin alone can contain up to 3 times the mineral concentration compared to the inner flesh, so removing it changes that balance. Cooking, it shifts things in the opposite direction. Heating guava can reduce its vitamin C content by up to 40%, which takes away part of the absorption support it provides. If the texture isn't ideal for you, blending it into a smoothie with yogurt is one way to keep it usable. The probiotics in yogurt have been linked to about a 20% increase in mineral absorption in the gut, based on research published in the British Journal of Nutrition. Spacing it across the day, usually 2 to 3 fruits, split between the morning and later in the day, keeps that magnesium supply more consistent as it moves through your system. Jackfruit works a little differently because it doesn't just supply magnesium, it shifts the conditions in your gut in a way that changes how much of that magnesium actually gets used. A single cup gives you about 61 milligrams, but the key detail is in its structure. Jackfruit contains specific polysaccharides, and those act as prebiotics once they reach your large intestine. They feed beneficial bacteria, and as those bacteria break things down, they produce short chain fatty acids that lower the pH in that environment. That shift in acidity makes a measurable difference. A study published in the Journal of Functional Foods in 2022 found that this kind of change in the gut increased magnesium absorption by roughly 33%. It wasn't just a small bump. Over a 6-week period, participants consuming about a cup daily showed a 19% increase in lactobacillus populations, alongside improvements in overall magnesium status. There's a functional side to this as well. In a 2021 study looking at adults over 55, regular intake of jackfruit was associated with about a 12% increase in grip strength over 10 weeks. That change was linked to how its magnesium content interacts with naturally occurring B vitamins, which support energy production in muscle tissue. At the same time, you're getting around 739 milligrams of potassium per cup, and that pairing between magnesium and potassium shows up consistently in cardiovascular function. A 2020 meta-analysis published in Hypertension reported an average reduction of about 7.5 points in systolic blood pressure when both minerals were coming from whole food sources. Handling it can feel unfamiliar at first, but once you get past that, it's straightforward. The ripe yellow pods are the easiest entry point, and you can eat those fresh. Inside each pod is a large seed, and that part often gets overlooked, even though it carries additional magnesium. When you boil those seeds for about 20 minutes and remove the outer layer, a half cup provides roughly 54 milligrams. If you're using canned jackfruit, the mineral content holds up fairly well, though there's about a 15% reduction compared to fresh based on food chemistry data. And if you're working with young green jackfruit, keeping cooking temperatures below 175 degrees Celsius helps preserve most of its mineral content. It ends up doing more than just adding magnesium. It changes the environment so that what you're already eating has a better chance of being absorbed. Avocado sits at a different level because of what happens after the magnesium gets inside your body, not just how much it provides. A single medium avocado gives you about 58 milligrams, and most people will eat the whole fruit in one sitting without thinking much about it. But the difference shows up at the cellular level. In a clinical trial published in the Journal of the American Heart Association in 2022, researchers followed 1,008 participants over an 8-week period. Those who ate one avocado per day showed about a 24% increase in intracellular magnesium. That's the magnesium inside your cells where it actually does its work, and that's usually the hardest place to move it. What allows that to happen is the structure of the fruit itself. The magnesium in avocado is embedded in a matrix of monounsaturated fats, and those fats become part of your cell membranes during digestion. As that happens, the magnesium moves with them, crossing into the cell more efficiently than what you see with isolated forms. A separate study published in Nutrients in 2023 measured this more directly. Magnesium absorption from avocado was about 40% higher compared to lower fat fruit sources and around 35% higher than standard supplement forms. At the same time, participants showed a 17% increase in glutathione levels, which supports how well that magnesium is retained once it's inside the cell. Beyond that, avocado brings in about 975 milligrams of potassium, around 13 grams of fiber, and 163 micrograms of folate, all present in the same structure. A 2021 meta-analysis looking at multiple randomized trials found that regular avocado intake was associated with improvements in LDL cholesterol, blood sugar regulation, and overall mineral status across different markers. The way you eat it shapes how much of that you actually get. The fruit should be ripe, but still firm enough to hold its shape. Eating it raw keeps the fatty acid structure intact, which supports that transport process into the cell. It can be added to toast, mixed into salads, turned into guacamole, or simply eaten straight from the skin. Adding a squeeze of lemon or lime introduces vitamin C, which aligns with the same absorption pattern you've seen with the other fruits. There's also a small detail that tends to get missed. The darker green portion, closer to the skin, contains up to 15% more minerals than the lighter interior, so scraping closer to that outer layer changes the intake slightly. Keeping it consistent, around 1 avocado per day, lines up with what was used in the clinical data and keeps that intracellular level moving in the right direction. What starts to stand out across all of this is the pattern behind it. Each of these fruits brings magnesium in, but more importantly, they bring the surrounding structure that allows your body to actually use it. With figs, that shows up through fiber, slowing the process down. With passion fruit, it's the pectin holding things in place longer. Guava shifts solubility through its organic acids. Jackfruit changes the gut environment through prebiotic activity. An avocado carries magnesium directly into the cell through its fat matrix. Those layers don't exist in isolated supplements. They can deliver the mineral, but they don't recreate the full system that controls how it moves, how it's absorbed, and where it ends up. That doesn't mean you need to stop using magnesium glycinate entirely, but adding these kinds of foods alongside it changes how that magnesium is handled once it's inside your body. And over time, that difference becomes noticeable in how things feel and function day to day. The research around this continues to point in the same direction, and the results tend to follow that same pattern when intake stays consistent. If this kind of biology matters to how your body actually functions day to day, subscribe now so you don't miss what comes next.